Go.
Go. We push the button. And good morning, everybody. It's an early morning. Ladies Wot Pod. Liz is barely with us. She's got her tea.
I'm not a morning person. Got my tea.
Have you got your tea?
Mug
Excellent.
Tea,
you've got your tea. And it's Ladies Wot Pod, episode 51. And it's an early morning for all sorts of reasons. And, oh, look, here he comes. We have our Dazzles. So those of you who've been listening to us for a while will remember the story of the Dazzles from last season's Investec Champions Cup, when Liz Tyler didn't know that these were supposed to be handed out to the press.
The media. Yeah.
And so I took one, and then Adam Gum said, you can have mine. And then Dave Rogers said, you can have mine. So I ended up with 3. And so 2 of them are here. The third I gave to Debbie Tide. So there you go, on the tunnel. Right, now we said we would actually... It's German gingerbread, everybody.
Gingerbread, how very apt. Very apt.
Very apt, yes. So
we're going to get into yours.
It does seem a bit of a... How do you get into these? Have you got a pair of scissors?
Well, I must have. I'm in my workroom. I must have a pair of...
So for those of you on... what have I done with my scissors? Those of you on Spotify, I am now rummaging.
I've just used my teeth.
Here we go. Rummaging in my drawer for a pair of scissors to open a stupid biscuit at 5:00 in the morning. Anyway,
because the only scissors I can see are my dressmaking shears that you do not use to cut anything bar fabric.
So Dazzle's not. Here he is. Right. So which limb are you going for? Are you going for decapitation? Or are you going for a leg? Oh, she's going for... I'll go for a leg then. Right, okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, they're rather nice.
Oh.
They're proper leg. Oh, wow.
Oh, they're really nice.
It doesn't look right.
Oh, poor Dazzle.
Dazzle is headless. Oh, dear. Yeah.
But what I'm... When we have the when Munster come, can you get some more?
I'll have a word. 12 a season does seem a little limited because that was the number that was said. Anyway, so well done.
The icing's lemony, I think.
Yeah, right, proper. Anyway, this isn't a tasting. Well done, EPCR. You do a nice biscuit.
Will you crack on while I finish this?
I'll crack on. Right. So we're going to start with the game that was in a deluge and a gale. I think it was the wind that caused, in the first half, that caused the most fun. Or maybe it was just because I was at the end where I was in the lee of the stand. But the weather played a huge part of, I imagine, all the games except the ones in South Africa. Because it was horrific. But we, as Dr. T endlessly said all weekend, but we still came to play rugby.
I know.
It was brilliant. It was utterly brilliant. So I think the first thing we have to say is that we have a number of reasons. We've been given over the weekend a number of reasons why we lost against Gloucester, haven't we, Liz?
We have. People were blaming me. And I was prepared to take a little bit of the blame because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
However.
So before the game, I got a visit from Director of Rugby, Mr. Phil Dowson, while I was working pitchside.
The boss.
And he came over to apologise. Because he said, I didn't come over and say hello to you, Claire. I always come over and say hello to you before the game. And I didn't. And we played like lemons.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm prepared to not take the blame if the boss wants to take the blame.
Yeah. But you also had, I think there was a fraction with a certain scrum half.
Oh, well, yeah. I saw Mitch before the game, and then we had a hug, as you do. And I said to him after the game, we had another hug, and I went, "It's so good to have you back." And it all went so well because we had a hug before the game. He said, "That's it. I'll come and hug you before every game." Oh no, we've set our stall out now.
Right. How are you going to manage on Saturday? Anyway,
Well, yeah, that could be,
Remote hug.
and I'll have to, virtual hug.
So
You're gonna have to phone Douse to say hello.
I'll send you a message.
Yeah.
Hey up. So I thought team selection for Saturday was really interesting. We obviously rested Ferbs, and James Ram came in at fullback, and he was outstanding. Really,
Absolutely
really
played
good.
blinder.
Yeah, really good.
Given those conditions, he was. I mean, a few of the kicks, but they surprised everybody. They either went backwards or caught the breeze and went forwards further than expected. It's all very bizarre.
That kick from James Ram, they were kicking into the wind, they thought, and it didn't go out a little bit. It shot out on the full from his own half.
Yeah, the wind suddenly dropped, and it was like, oh, I've done that in golf.
It was swirling, so I think actually the wind helped it over the mean, so yes.
I don't know about you, but I've done that playing golf, and I think, well, I'll allow for the wind, and the minute ball leaves tee, wind drops, and it just, oh well, hang on a minute.
Fickle, the wind, fickle.
Yeah.
The 19-year-old. Of course, starting at flanker Henry, I'm sure we'll talk about. Having Mr. Dependable and Dingers together.
The Lich Wall combination. The Lich Wall
combination. Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it was great to see Mitch back. Tom James and Archie had done a fantastic job, but bringing a world-class player, I hate that phrase, but unfortunately it does apply to...
Yeah, it does.
The speed is just another level. And then if it's a deluge, if it's the first round of the Investec Champions Cup, who else do you have at lock? Tom Lockett.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year his mate was Mooney. This year his mate was Tamo, who I don't think was quite so convinced by the weather.
Don't think he's quite got the Mooney. Oh well, it's not as heavy as it was.
Where? Right. And we had a number of European debuts. Some of whom knew that they were making their European debut. Some of them didn't. Luke Green. Obviously Henry, Archie, and I've forgotten somebody. I'm going to have to look at the article.
Craig Wright.
Oh, yes. Craig Wright. So, yes. So
and Yak. And of course
Yak. Yak, our new Fijian number 8. Samoan, not Fijian. Don't get that wrong.
Samoan.
Our Samoan number 8, who is the smiliest, loveliest man that you could ever come across. He was just... And when he had to sing the Shoe Army song at the end, oh my goodness, he was so happy.
His legs. Everybody's been saying about his legs. But, ladies and gentlemen, his legs... He has... I mean, somebody said that they're like tree trunks. They are as if they are hewn from oak.
Yes.
Or the mighty redwood. I mean, they are just... I was looking, and because everybody said, look at his legs, and so I did. And they're like... 2 of mine are just about the size of one of his. But they're not...
Extraordinary.
And it's all muscle. It's not... they're not fat legs. No.
It is all muscle. And you could see right at the end he was driving through. I think he's clearly already having fun. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how he develops in the coming months that he's with us. So the game, we won comfortably, I think is a fair way of putting it.
We did.
Yeah. By the way, I've invented a weather scale. And
yes.
I did say this to several people on Saturday who seemed to go, okay, yeah. So the worst weather that I've ever sat in is Toman Park. That's number 1 on the list. 2 hours of hideousness. Second on the list, not far behind Toman Park, Scotstoun. the equivalent match
Yes.
this weekend's last year, which was just silly. Third on the list, Coventry. Also silly. Yeah. Fourth on the list, those of you there who will remember Rodney Parade in the hail.
In the hail.
Now, the reason that's not further up the list, ladies and gentlemen, is it wasn't the whole game, because the sun came out in the second half.
It did. I still remember James Wilson trying to hide behind the posts if that was going to keep the hail off.
Covering his eyes, trying to find out where the ruck was that was literally in front of him. And then fifth on the list, I will put Saturday. And certainly in terms of games at the Gardens, that's number one.
Oh, it's number one.
All
Definitely.
the others are away games.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it in a bit. Of course, I did it all again on Sunday. But it was very, very cold. And it was very, very windy, and it was very, very wet, particularly in the second half. So, Mr. Graham McKechnie, my dear friend, squealed on you. The WhatsApp lit up that Graham was moaning about being cold.
Yeah.
Nice warm press bench, Graham.
Yes.
So I sent him a message.
Tucked underneath the eaves up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tucked underneath the eaves. You know, he can get his travel blanket out. Yeah.
His knees were cold.
Yeah, knees were cold, bless. So, he did give me a shout out in the second half, but it was horrific. So, anyway, and so to play the quality of rugby that we did, I think was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
It was remarkable. It was, to play that level of rugby in those conditions was just outrageous. Again, chaps.
And the way they were, again, unlike Gloucester, they were all on the same wavelength again. So I think an indication of that was Drano's try in the corner, which started way backfield when Finn kicked the ball through and he and Henry went herring off after it. The scrum half, the Castra scrum half, picked the ball up and was scragged immediately by the two of them. And, of course, Henry Jackal...
He got pollocked. Got pollocked, really, didn't he?
Yeah, he got pollocked and the penalty was awarded. And Finn was celebrating. I haven't seen that before. Finn was celebrating. Yeah. Henry, of course, was absolutely made up. But Fremo had the ball and kept his wits about him and must have heard or seen something out the corner of his eye because he tapped and threw the most gorgeous pass.
Absolutely lovely pass.
Who scored in the corner.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was so impressed with the awareness, Fremo's awareness there, and Drano, and again that we're playing with mates and we trust each other, and fantastic.
So well done, Fremo. Well done, Finn and Mr. Pollock. We're going to hear that phrase quite a lot.
Oh, we are. And the other try that must mention that somebody has set to music. Using Kylie's spinning around is the last try, Henry's try, where he just goes spin, 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 try.
What, you mean this one?
That one, yeah.
Yes.
But it was actually pointed out earlier where he'd taken a ball and come and sort of spun out of the contact. And I was thinking about this, and George Hendy does it as well, where they take the energy coming from the defending player and use that energy to spin them round and move off. And it's an innate skill that they both have. Yeah. And it works so well because it sort of drains the defending player of energy and sends them off like a pinball in some other way. And it's, so for those of you on Spotify, I'm showing the photographs that I took because, of course, Henry disappears behind the post for me. Last spin. I thought he was trying to work. I thought he was trying to work his way over to you. That was what I thought he was doing.
He was aiming for the hat. It was an awfully long way to get there. But it was a thing of beauty, which ended up with him scoring, and then of course. We've now got the trademark series of celebrations that we're getting from him. But But yeah, no, it was a beautiful thing, and whilst uttering an expletive, because he was caught on camera again, Douse clearly enjoyed it. So yeah, it was good to see, and a great try, a really, really well thought, well executed try from a very young player. We have to keep saying that he's a very young player. Yeah. Although I'd like a mention for Tamo's line for his try.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, forget that he's a lock. He was playing like a centre. That line was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
It's like the passing of the Red Sea for him, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah. Very happy man. And, of course, it was his birthday yesterday. Yes.
Oh.
Sorry, Miss J. He's younger than you.
Yeah.
Only by 3 months, but he's younger than you. Yes. So, yes. I didn't realise that Tamo was 27 yesterday. So he's
I think I'd been surprised.
Prime. I had him as because I'd never really. Why would I check his age? But yeah, he's. No,
because when I've been doing the ages, I was surprised the first time. Oh God, he's young as well. It's just
Yeah, no, he's. Yes,
and
we've got him in his prime.
Talking of young and it being surprising, Finn's 50th.
I know.
And he's, how old is he? 22, 20? Is he 23 yet? I don't know.
No, I think he's just coming up for 22, isn't he? Yeah, ridiculous.
Whatever. Yeah. His birthday's in May. May. Yeah, check.
Shall I check? Let's squad. Whiz down to Smith. Ollie Slight. He's between Ollie Slightholme and George Smith. There he is. He is 22.
Yeah, 23 next year. Yeah,
23 next year. Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So watching the game back, you see so much more normally, and even more when you're not seeing through a blur of shivering. His game management of that game, like in Thomond Park, was remarkable, and just nobody knows what he's going to do, but he does it. Obviously, his own team seems to just they trust him. Whatever he does is right, and they'll follow him.
Yeah.
But he was doing things that if Marcus Smith had done it, everybody would be going into paroxysms of delight. But because he does it without stupid hair and just does it, people think he doesn't do it, if that makes sense. They've put them in the sort of Rob Andrew and Stuart Barnes mode.
Well, so the young player at Ashton Gate is Prendergast, I think his name is, who's the up-and-coming replacement for Johnny Sexton in the Leinster. Have we found the replacement for Johnny Sexton saga?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Finn Smith, different level, different gravy to him. I'm sure he's a great player and he might become a great player. But I'm sorry, I'll have Finn every time. And it took a certain All Black coming on for, and Mr. Sneyman.
Yes,
supporters cannot be happy with that for it to turn. So now Finn is class, and well done to getting his 50.
Yes.
So it does lead
although when I saw him as they came off, when they do their walk around, don't they, before they go out, and they came off and he'd been out practicing his kicking and everything. He came off the pitch and I happened to be walking past at the time and said, "Would you like to go and play instead?" To which I went, No. Why on earth would I want to play a game where you don't have a weapon? And he looked a bit puzzled. I said, "I played hockey, Finn. I always play a game with a weapon," which made made Langdon Minor laugh at that.
Yeah, it was good to see Nathan. He was amongst the travelling substitutes this week, so it was good to see him there. So the Ladies Wot Pod man of the match. Now, you were absolutely convinced you'd chosen
I was.
him
Well, I
on
still.
Saturday, and I was like, really? Thank you to Leslie,
Well, yes.
who is running our own advertising campaign across social media. Thank you, Leslie. Yes, we have been. You're absolutely spot on. We will be talking about such things. So, Gerano Augustus
Got the
won
official
it.
one.
We'll talk about the new Dazzle in a minute. And so he is medallion man for this week. And so therefore he isn't in consideration, but he did have an outstanding game. Lots of Gerano carrying again, where he looked a bit out of sorts against Gloucester. He was back to his rampaging best. I think it took a match to get him back into the swing again. And he certainly was.
Trocking.
He was trocking happily, usually with his mate Henry with him.
Yes.
Got lots of photos of the two of them together.
And well, in fact, Gerano said what I thought at the time was that Henry was my player of the match.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be one of those. It's a bit like Finn. We could award Finn player of the match every single game. And Henry likewise. So they're kind of ruling themselves out, really.
Yeah.
In a way. Then watching it back, there was given the conditions, watching James Ram at fullback in those bloody awful conditions.
Yeah.
Impressive display, really impressive display. All of them really. Mitch, he set fire to the backs in a way that we hadn't really seen in his absence. And as you say, he is such class. He has got to be in the top 2 of scrum halves in the world at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like a shout out for Mr. Dependable.
I was going to say, then there's Mr. Dependable. Yeah,
his carrying was huge on Saturday, and his understanding with Dingers. Dingers, the defensive blanket was back, and the two of them, were understanding exactly what they're going to do. But he carried the ball so well. And time again, we made yard after yard after yard, or should we say metre after metre after metre, because of Lich's ability to get the ball forward quickly and get it so Mitch could recycle it quickly to cause the mayhem that we did. So I would certainly put Lich on the list.
Yeah.
So it leaves us with a problem. I actually don't think you can go past Henry. You can't.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can
go past Henry.
But you can't. We can't keep giving it to Henry. So we may have to have just
well. But
the official one takes him out, and then Henry takes himself out.
To the game, I think his influence on the game. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I just, and he's such a lovely young man. I'm so glad he's ours, though, because there was something about somebody put something up that somebody in France had written in French, obviously, because they're French, and the translation was pretty bad. But about what a marvelous player he was. This was on social media, and but still has a face that you want to slap. Was. And I thought, I think if he wasn't mine, I'd be thinking like that, to be honest. Ooh, yeah.
So when you get to know him, he is a charming young man. He is a delight.
Is not,
except when he's on the rugby field or when he's in training, and then he's just an annoying git.
Yeah, but he's our annoying git. And he is not, all this talk about him being cocky and arrogant. He actually isn't. He's confident. And he's a reason to be confident. But he's just a 19-year-old living his best life and being confident with very good reason. That's just Henry. But he's very kind and he's charming and delightful. Yeah.
So keep going, Henry. Keep annoying the opposition.
And so the other thing that I mentioned earlier as well, what impresses so much about Henry impresses me. But one thing is he doesn't make the same mistakes twice. So mistakes that he was making in September, he's not making now. He's learning, his ability to learn. And we were saying, in September he'd quite often stop, but the ball would go on. His ball retention has been so much better since, working on it. He obviously looks at his own game and works on these weaknesses.
Oh yeah, no, he's learning incredibly fast. He's listening. I tell you who we have, and we've been really naughty for not mentioning, because all three of them had an outstanding game.
They did. They did.
And is the front row.
Front row were
Elliot
immense.
had a huge game, and was the number of times he's been on a player's shoulder to score. He's on Tamo's shoulder and he's going, I'm ready, just give me the ball. Oh.
Behind you.
He nearly scored in front. He aimed the hat beautifully, but it took 4 of them to pull him down.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a great game. Curtis was back to his self. He's back to his annoying Curtis self, and he scored a try from absolutely nothing. Mitch's pass went all over the shop, but he wasn't knocked on, and Curtis scored. And the poachers try, but they all count. I think it was that got us the bonus point, that one. So yeah, Curtis, and then Manny is becoming that dependable loose head that you want. Carries, locks out the scrum. So he and Elliot did a really good job with an enormous French front row. They were massive. Yes.
Yeah. I think they're a bit lazy though.
Oh yeah, well they did the everyone's going on about, was it Slimani at Leinster?
Oh yeah.
Watch that guy. He doesn't move. He does not move. No. You don't hear Hans Slimani chucking the ball up because he doesn't move. I remember watching Scotland play France in a World Cup warm-up game, and we played Slimani watch, and he did not move. He waited for the game to come to him.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think the front row did an outstanding job, and I'm sure. Oh, I've realised there's something I've forgotten to put on the list. More of that in a minute.
Oh, what's that?
I'm just going to write the word knees. There you go. I think, what's she on about now? Anyway, so Ladies Wot Pod man of the match is still Henry.
Yeah, with honourable mentions to everybody else, actually.
Everybody else, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody else. Just for carrying on breathing. Sgt Wilson Award. I didn't hear much.
Dingers was doing his Dingers thing of being incredibly calm.
Yeah.
In fact, didn't the referee tell one of the caster locks off? I think we just had a melee, and he asked everybody to calm down. And,
sorry, I missed that. My ears went.
Again, and he went, "That's not being calm, is it?" Anyway, so I think the referee could win his own Sgt Wilson Award.
I think, yeah. Yeah. Their number 5, the Fijian superstar, was just in his face the whole time. And their number 19, who picked on Archie? Huge chap. Picked on Archie. That got everybody else riled.
Well out of order. Yeah, not having any of that. Yeah. No, not good at all. Not good at all. You leave him alone. Well done.
That was after they'd been.
Well done, Tom Lockett, for wading in.
After they'd been awarded the penalty, as the ref said, "What is your problem? You've got the penalty. Will you go away and take the penalty?"
So I think we give it to Dingers, actually, because I think Dingers had that calm effect that we needed. So well done.
He stepped into Sgt Wilson's shoes very well. Very well.
So post the match, and hence why I've written down the word knees. I put on my camera bag, I trundled round, sat in the technical area like I always do, and normally I take the bag off, and then when the end of the game happens, I put my fishing stool on top of the bag and then go and do the... Well, they didn't have a lineup. That was a bit weird. Anyway, I always thought rugby and applauding the opposition off the pitch was one of the nice things that we did, but we didn't do that. Bit weird, but there you go. And yeah,
Too cold and wet, to be honest. I think.
Well, they still had their huddles. They still had their little chats. Bless them. But I completely didn't take my bag off. So when I stood up, I forgot that I was wearing it. It's still got quite a lot of gear in it. It's quite heavy. So instead of standing up, I just fell on my knees and then realised because I was so cold, I could not move. Ferg looked at me and went, "Are you all right?" And I went, "No."
Not really. No.
Mitch short. "Are you all right, Claire?" I went, "No." Anyway, Ferg's helped me to my feet. So I had 2 very large black patches on my knees, very attractive. And I also managed to get my gloves all muddy. Oh, it was just horrible. Anyway, yes.
Nasty.
Have to embarrass yourself. I'll be taking my bag off next time. So we didn't have a huddle. Well, we did have a huddle, and Yak did a little dance.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, Yak did a little dance. But they all wanted to get off to see their, hang out the balls, go and see everybody, and then get back in the changing room because they were very cold. Talking of which, I bought myself a new gadget because I was getting fed up of my camera missing up when I went in the changing room. So I've got myself a heater. So for those of you on Spotify, you won't be able to see this, but it's like a scarf for lenses that you put round your lens, and then you plug it into a battery, and it keeps your lens all nice and warm. So when you go from the cold outside to the warm inside, it doesn't mist up.
Well,
yeah, I know. Technology.
To be honest, I think we could have all done with a big one of those.
Round the whole crowd, yes. And it works. Yeah. So so the Shoe Army song that we all know and love was sung unsurprisingly. We didn't have the mass gathering around. I think Daz went a bit mad and went, "Oh, European debuts, Finn, man of the match." And we thought, well, that'll be just a changing room.
Yes, that's everybody, yeah.
But no, not quite. But so it ended up being Finn, Yak, and Joanno. Joanno had to be persuaded by Henry to, you've got to, said Henry, protesting. Aww. Bless him. Because Joanno's always a reluctant attendee at the bin. But once he's there, he gets into it. And the song was sung with much gusto. And Yak was particularly delighted to be singing amongst his new teammates. So that went very, very well. I tell you who was also really pleased to see playing with a smile on his face again, Alex Coles.
Yes. Yeah. He was not Mr. Grumpy. Not Mr. Grumpy at all. He was quite Mr. Shouty. Quite Mr. Shouty when he came on.
Yes,
you can hear it when you watch it back. Quite Mr. Shouty.
Yes, but he was enjoying himself.
Quite Mr. Directional, but yes,
so
looked a lot happier.
It was good to see. It was good to see. However, we do need to talk about an incident in the changing room where I witnessed the start.
I think we do. I think we do. I mean, outrageous behaviour.
And you witnessed the end. So it's quite
those of you who are parents will
just remember these toddler days. Yeah, we've all got them. We've all got them. Mine involves home base.
British Home Stores was mine.
Oh, there's a name from the past. Anyway,
I know.
Otto is Elliot Miller-Mill's gorgeous son, who was stomping around in the changing room. It's quite common for the players who've got children to bring them into the changing room. And Otto was enjoying himself, stomping in his Crocs around the changing room. He was having a load of fun. And of course, it was time for the boss to talk to the players. So Elliot rightly wanted Otto to sit for a few seconds whilst the boss talked about, life, the universe, and South Africa next week. And Otto was having none of that. No, there was no way he was going to sit on Dad's knee, even for a nanosecond, let alone a couple of minutes. And everybody knows how toddlers like to wriggle. Yeah, well, Otto was trying to build an escape plan, and Dad, being, a tight head prop, can hold on to his son. But the wriggling got worse and worse, And then the full-on tantrums started. And of course, Douse, whose children aren't that much older, smiled broadly, thinking, "Oh dear, mate, you've got some fun ahead of you."
Yeah.
And Elliot realised that nobody in the room was going to hear anything when Otto let rip. So he carried, literally, out sideways a child and headed off down the tunnel, where you then witnessed the second chapter of the Otto moment.
So it emerged one prop striding with a wriggling, screaming toddler who managed to hurl himself to the floor at one point.
You described it earlier like an eco warrior in full protest
It was,
mode.
like one of these people gluing themselves to the motorway. It was just. And poor Elliot, we have all been there. Mine happened in British Home Stores, and she'll love me for telling this. When she threw a tantrum, and I just walked away, hid behind a rack of clothes till she'd calmed down. And then these two old women, I said two old women, they're probably younger than I am now. So, "Oh, have you lost your mummy?" "No, leave her alone. She's just having a tantrum, and we're dealing with it."
Hannah will be so pleased that you've raised it. Yes, mine involved power tools, and Miss J deciding that she wanted to have a go at playing with them, and her father's refusal. So she let rip, and ended up being carried out a bit like Otto, sideways like a plank, out of the DIY store. Yes, so we've all been there. Elliot came and had a chat with us afterwards. He was so embarrassed.
He was, bless him. I mean, for those who've watched Faulty Towers, where there's been some shenanigans with the builder.
Oh, yes, that's right.
John Cleese takes the gnome. Where are you going? That's sort of, we've all been there, but with a rigid toddler under our arm as we try and wrestle them out of a...
Yes. So, so Otto, besides Otto, Douse, unsurprisingly, was delighted with the performance this week, and talked, and the players absolutely, they realised what had happened at Gloucester and what they needed to change, and they delivered. And he said, that was what we wanted you to do. That's what you did. Now we've got to do it again when we head south to South Africa. So it was a great result. It was a horrific match to sit in, and I did get some nice photos, so that was good, despite the best efforts of the weather. Talking of which, dear old Bedford, who were playing the team in second place in the championship, Ealing, and they are putting in some stonking performances. It ended up 17-25 against Ealing. I think they were in the lead at half time. I seriously, I think Bedford are having an outstanding season. They are really, really doing well, and congratulations to everybody there. And I'm sorry I missed it because it sounded a cracking game. On Sunday, now the weather didn't really improve. It might have changed a little bit, but it didn't improve. And I was in a completely different set of clothing, and I got soaked again. Watching Lightning play the current champions. We were wrong. Musmea did not go to Gloucester Hartbury.
No.
She went to Bristol Bears, more on that shortly. I was absolutely delighted when Leah Green scored the try at the end of the game, because being nilled for the effort that the girls put in, it just didn't seem fair. I think Mo Hunt basically had a sleeping bag at the ground because, of course, she was commentating on Saturday and playing scrum half. She is a fine player, and the speed the ball was moving around the ground was put a lot down to her. They're a class outfit. It was lovely seeing the Beckett family up against each other. So Coach Charlie was coaching against his sister, and they had a nice photo together. And apparently their mum is completely traumatised by the whole thing because
just like you hope when they grow up that these things might be left behind without taking it forward onto a whole new arena.
Yes. So yes. I did find it. I think
Although we have lived through those traumas with a very dear friend of ours when Beef went to Worcester, and still one of my favourite games.
You do behave. And your response,
So proud.
you must be so proud. If anyone who doesn't know, that was Beef and Alex Waller having a discussion.
Yeah, full of frank exchange of views.
Yeah. A frank exchange of views. Yes, so Lightning this weekend are against Harlequins, and we'll talk about that shortly. But the weather was still horrific, and it was quite hard work. But it was good to be back. And as I said to Bobby when we had him on the pod, if only we could sort out the blessed fixture list. I'd love to go and watch more games involving Lightning. I don't think the schedulers have been kind to the Lightning team at all. Because there's lots of us who'd like to go to both games. Yes,
I would have gone, but I was in a pub. It was our Christmas music session, so I was singing carols and playing musical instrument, and generally having
at the moment you haven't worked out whether you're going on Saturday because it's too early in the morning. So
too early in the morning and too early in the week, to be honest.
So, shall we do Media Watch next?
Yes. Let's
talk about Premier Sports. Should we let's give the whole story here. So the rights were up for bidding last year, and as I understand it, TNT offered half the money that they offered the previous bidding round, which was about 14 million quid.
14 million, yeah. I understand that, yeah.
EPCR said, no thank you, we don't want that. And TNT said, oh, all right then. Bye. Bye, but we'll have the Autumn Internationals instead, please. So they went and did the Autumn Internationals, which left us without a broadcaster at all. So it could have been the case that we didn't actually have any TV. None. Nada. We'd have to go to France to watch it. And Premier Sports basically put a bid in of 6 million quid to get it. So all of those supporters who were telling me on Saturday it's just about money, it is just about money. And actually the clubs need the TV rights to sell well, because we need the money to come into the game. And to get only £6 million, what's supposedly the biggest, tournament.
And that is yet again the EPCR mismanagement of the commercial side. Let's make no bones about it.
But I think it actually is a bigger thing for our sport. So to give you an example, in the same week we were all moaning about Premier Sports, the rights to the Premier League, the English Premier League in Asia. So we're not talking about the whole world. We're talking just Asia, sold for £439 million.
Bloody hell. But even, I was going to say, even notwithstanding, we're never going to attract money like that. But this is the EPCR who turned down TNT's offer without having any other interest on the table, let alone offers, not even a flicker of interest from anybody else, have lost the game. Have lost 8 million to the game. It's like they were saying about them going for not just having a main sponsor, we'll get sponsors across the board, and that didn't work. And you just wonder what their commercial team is doing. Whatever they're doing it badly, I feel.
Yeah, they don't seem to be. The sport does have a problem. Absolutely. Now, for all you who are saying, but it means I need 2 contracts. In some parts of the world, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, they're rejoicing because they only need one. Because the URC is on Premier Sports. So they only need, if they want to watch the Autumn, ironically, if they want to watch the Autumn Internationals, they neither need to have Amazon Prime or they need to have TNT. So it's English supporters who've been hit with this additional bill. Now, I understand that times are hard at the minute, but we can't just say it's about people taking more and more and more money. Yes, for English supporters, it means they need to pay out more, but it's a more complicated picture for the sport. And
it's what our Celtic cousins were having to do last season.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, so,
exactly. It is painful. Now, what I would say, and you and I had a brief discussion about this on Saturday, I actually think the quality of the commentator, Nick Heath, you were outstanding this weekend.
Yes.
I listened to two of his games, and I thought, because obviously I watched the Bath game, and I listened back to our game.
Yeah.
And I thought Nick handled it really, really well. He was insightful. He was, he was Nick Heath, who we all know and love. So well done. I think Babes was brilliant, and I think the rest, with the exception of Mo, because I think Mo was getting into it.
Andy Good makes me want to phone myself. I say phone myself because I am becoming a Samaritan, so makes me want to phone myself or my colleagues. He could be saying the most wonderful and insightful things, but his delivery is so boring.
It's almost like he's trying to be a Daily Mail, I've got the big story reporter. And it really doesn't work, Andy. Try a different tactic. But it was nice hearing I think it was nice hearing some new voices. In the same way we were saying about Orla and the Claire Thomas on TNT. It's actually nice hearing some new voices and actually seeing the return of one particular old one in Babes, because I've got a lot of time for Babes. Delalio, on the other hand, seriously,
I was about to say, his name's James Ram. It's not that ruddy hard, is it, really? John Ram. He referred to him as John Ram several times. James, we were shouting at the television.
Yeah, and James, yeah. No,
how hard is it to get 30 names down?
But also, he had, on Friday, he had La Rochelle in the south of France, to which he was rescued by his colleague, Mr. Bayfield, who said, "We're getting you an atlas for Christmas, mate." So I think certainly they've obviously got some new microphones, because unlike the England A game, they actually worked. But there's more work to be done. I haven't watched much of the other coverage because I was busy all weekend, so I don't know what the other commentators were like. But I think we all need to understand that it's not just a case of EPCR have gone to the highest, really high bidder, and we're fleecing everybody. They're actually in trouble. They're actually really in trouble, and we should be worried that the rights for this competition, which is supposed to be the competition in European rugby.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
That is part of the problem.
I'm just looking at the time, Mrs. Jones. I'm just looking at the time, Mrs. Jones, because I have to go and be physioed in a little while.
Yes. Right. So we need to whiz on.
We
should also mention a couple of other things before you disappear.
Yes, indeed.
We need to say more power to the referees and championship clubs over the RFU, because absolutely something needs to change in what's going on there. So people need to be aware that Coventry and their application to come up into the Premiership seems to be hampered by a bill for a full planning permission to be in place for the extension to their stadium, which they're estimating will cost them £500,000, and there's no guarantee that they'll even get promoted. So you're going to spend £500,000 on something that may or may not happen. Yeah, that's not going to work. We need to say good luck to the lads in South Africa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
hope the landing soon.
Hope that they'll be landing soon, so hope the flight went well. I'll be at the Quins game. Liz is still working it out.
I don't know. And, I forgot to say under Media Watch how traumatised I was by being offered a chip.
Oh, God, that was the hot news, wasn't it? Yes. Offered a chip by Stuart Barnes.
I said no. Dear reader, I said no.
You look completely shocked. In fact, Liz Tyler looked quite concerned for you.
I was shocked.
Mind you, well done to Mr. Barnes for surviving Bath on Friday night and then doing it all again on Saturday. I don't know where he went.
Well, he was at home on Friday. He was telling me, and he told me where his house is in Bath. I could go I could go and find it if I wanted to. I've no desire to. And
So he wasn't actually at the ground?
No, he did the one at the ground, but overnight on Friday he went home.
Yeah.
And he said he just wondered if the game would be on because the conditions were so dreadful up on the hill above Bath. And I was thinking, well, it would be, yeah, absolutely awful up there. But it was fine. And do I want a chip? No. My mother told me never to take food from strange men. So there we go.
Yeah,
anyway.
And then last but not least, we need a moan, don't we?
Well, last but not least, just to tell you that Toaster under 10s and under 7s were cancelled because,
we don't want to leave small children over a hedge.
Particularly under 7s are not very wind resistant, so they've been retrieving them from the trees. So
we need to have a little moan on because it's that time of year. I've explained to Liz that the reason that you watch Personality of the Year is to moan about it. I'm going to moan about the Young Sports Person of the Year award. I'm sorry, where is the representative from the current Six Nations champions and World Cup champions, England under 20s? I'm sure the three young people who've been nominated are fabulous. One of them is a particularly good darts player. But seriously, guys, team sports, they're important.
Yeah.
Right. So
role models.
We need to let you run away, don't we?
Finn Cardiff for that one would have been...
Finn Cardiff, Henry Pollock.
Yeah.
Archie for the Six Nations. Yeah. I mean, Archie didn't play in the World Cup, so that might be a bit of a stretch. But seriously, somebody from that England. Now, if they put them in the team award, I'll eat humble pie, but I doubt it. Anyway, so you've got to go and be bent in funny shapes.
Yes, I have, by the lovely Mr. Lee Daggett. There, you see, I've mentioned him, and he's not sponsored us yet. I'd say he's got a mention. Yes. So, I'm going to go off and do that. My IT department.
You go be bent into funny shapes. I am going to training tonight with Bedford. Really looking forward to it. I'm wearing my Preston Grasshoppers shirt. There you go. There's the Hoppers. They have a fabulous bar at Hoppers. You can watch the whole game and the rain going sideways from indoors. It's brilliant.
What could you have done with that on Saturday night? So,
Julia, can you remodel the ground so the Gordon Terrace, the terrace is now a bar indoors, so we can all watch the game? Perfect. Works for me.
Yeah.
So that was
episode
51 of the Ladies Wot Pod. Thank you to everybody who's
thank you everybody
liked.
And sorry to
come and
I was going to say
hello.
An apology to Ian Winton that it doesn't always go out at the same time. We got told off for that.
I know, getting complaints about publishing time now. I don't know.
Yeah. And hello to the lovely lady who spoke to me on the gate, who was going off to eat shortbread in front of Lenny. That sounds wrong, but anyway, she sits in front of Lenny when she's going to eat shortbread. And, I've eaten mine. And hello as well to Freddie, who was sitting next to me, who Ferbs had broken his arm with the ball.
Oh, yes. So, yes. And so he was the mascot? Was he?
I don't know if he was the mascot, but he was certainly, they got seats for him anyway. So, but he might have been the mascot. No, I think he was there when we got there. So, I don't know.
Anyway,
I can't remember.
Yes, well done to the club on a number of fronts. They've done some lovely things this week, and we're really proud of everybody at the club. There's been some really lovely stories coming out of the club that it's not ours to share, but we're very proud of everybody at the club. Anyway,
on that note, farewell, goodbye. See you all next week.
For more fun and frolics. Bye.
Bye.